we live? Looks like we are. Hello, gorgeous. Happy Monday and welcome back to my platform. I am super excited that you are here and I am getting super fired up because we are literally just one day away from the Dare to Grow challenge. If you've been watching over the last couple of days, then you know last week I did a challenge on TikTok about getting uncomfortable for your growth. And so I am running that thing back here on my other platforms. Alexa, stop. This is live video. I am running it back on my other platforms to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to play a part, okay? So this video tonight is super special because this happened to me like 20 years ago, but when I talk about it, I still get super embarrassed. Like the corners of my mouth turn up because y'all, it was something serious. But I want to tell you guys about the time that I allowed my comfort zone to keep me from success. So if you remember this happening to me, no, you don't, okay? Because y'all, seriously, it's still super embarrassing. So I grew up in a tiny little town in Franklin County. And I was a dancer most of my life. And then in middle school, I started cheering and I could jump, I could run. I definitely was one of those people to get the crowd pumping, but tumbling was not my forte, okay? Like after a certain age, kids realize that you could really hurt yourself by flipping, and so there's some resistance there, right? But I knew that in order to like do really well and be on the high school squad, you needed to be able to do a back handspring. And so y'all, I went to tumbling classes and I got my back handspring down. Even at some point, I was doing like a round off 2 back handsprings, but that's like the max, okay? Like your girl was doing good to do what she was doing. So at the high school level, we would go to tumbling classes together as a squad, right? Because you had to learn these routines for games, for pep rallies, for competition, and we would all be together. So we would go and practice together. So like you're just cheering one another up, kind of like group coaching, where you see somebody else is kind of in the same lane as you and y'all push each other to get to the next level. So I don't know why, but that day, this particular day, in tumbling class, I decide that I want to do a back tuck. So for those of you who don't know, a back handspring is you flipping, you use your hands to spring off, like, so use your hands. A back tuck is literally you're using your ab strength to pull yourself over. So magically, y'all, I can do it, right? And so, of course, we have like spring mats, we have crash mats, we have all the things. I'm like, let's just practice on the crash mat. I'll throw it a couple of times, see if I can do it. I can do it. And so like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, where did this come from? Like, oh my goodness. So like the squad is hyped, my coach is hyped. We start thinking about all the things that we could possibly do to have another standing back tuck on the squad. Like it is huge, right? And I've got all this momentum. I get in the car and I'm telling my dad, like, I stuck it. I'm so cool. Like, y'all, I can like, it's funny to me because like looking back, I can still feel how hype I was about it, okay? So this was say like Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know. The next day, the very next day, like after I have thrown this dozens of times and stuck it, it looks good. The very next day, we're on the football field and we are practicing for the game. So it had to be Thursday or Friday because we're practicing for that week's game or whatever. And of course, like in small schools, we don't have like a practice field and then an actual field. Like everybody is out there together. You go to one end, we go to the other. And so like I had the biggest crush on one of the guys on the team, right? And so he's like walking by and they're all like, hey, can you see, like, have you seen Kayla's tuck? Kayla can do a tuck. Now, mind you, for whatever reason, this guy was super athletic and he could also flip. So like, I'm like, oh God, now they're going to tell him that I can do it. And he's like, okay, well, let us see what you got. What did they do that for? Y'all. So I'm like, oh, okay. And in my mind, y'all, I am Dominique Dawes. I am Gabby Douglas. I'm Simone Biles, right? And so I go to do this tuck and yeah, no, that did not work out for me. And so like I've got grass in my hair. It is like mortifying. It's kind of like when you see on movies where everybody's like, yo, ooh, and they're like seeing if you're okay. And it was awful. I was so embarrassed. I was mortified. Okay. So like mortified because not only have I embarrassed myself in front of this guy, I have also embarrassed myself in front of the squad and I've let myself down because I was literally just doing this yesterday. Like, what happened? Like, where did it go? And at that time, I did not have the fortitude. I did not have the strength, the stick with itness to push through my comfort zone to keep doing it, to keep going back to the crash mat and trying it again. And so I never tried to throw it again. Never, ever, ever did I try another tuck after falling that one time. And I look back and I think, how emotionally immature. Like, I didn't have someone to talk me through that process of, no, get on the mat. It's time to do it again. Like, you don't just get to quit. I didn't have that. And I also did not have that within myself, right? And I think all the time, like, what if you had pushed yourself? What if you had that voice of reason that said, Kayla, I'm not letting you give up? What if you had that support system that was like, you want this bad enough? You say you want to tuck, you say you want to cheer, you say you want to do these things. Let's get it, right? If I had done that, perhaps some of those dreams that I had as a little girl to cheer, college, wherever, might have come more into fruition. But instead, I quit. And so now I want to ask you, like, how many times have you failed at something the first time and you didn't have the support? You didn't have the stick with itness. You didn't have that voice of reason, that person to walk you through the mistakes to push you forward toward the goal that you desire for yourself. How many times have you tried something one time, two times, three times? And because it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to work out, you just feel like it's not for you or you're not good enough. Even worse, that you're not worthy. We get to unlearn that pattern. Everybody really blows at stuff the first couple of times that they do it. Nobody just comes out of the womb running. You have to crawl before you walk. You babble before you talk. It's a process. And so we get to give ourselves grace. We get to give ourselves that room for discomfort, for error, for growth. And this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with the Dare to Grow challenge, I am pouring into you. I am being that backbone, that voice of reason, pushing you out of your comfort zone, teaching you about fear and what fear actually is, and teaching you about resistance and what resistance actually is, teaching you all of the things that are going to set you up for success and happiness and becoming the main character of your story. The person who calls the shots, the girl who is the it girl, the girl who doesn't just give up because it didn't work out the first time. I would love for you to join me. It's absolutely free. Like, for no other reason than you want to grow and it's free. You should get in here. I'm going to drop the link below. I always say, what? Friends don't let friends challenge alone. So if you're already in there, tag a friend and be like, yo, get in here, because it is going to be absolutely epic and I don't want you to miss it. Have an excellent Monday on purpose, and I'll